Let's go ahead now and deploy our Flask application in a live server, which in our case would be the Heroku Cloud. There are around, let's say, 15 steps to go through for deploying your Flask application on Heroku, and we'll go through all of them step by step. And before we go to step 1, I would like you to know that if you're aware of deploying websites that are built on PHP, based on PHP, with these websites, it's fairly simple to deploy them. All you have to do is just upload all the HTML and the CSS and JavaScript and the PHP files as well. You can upload them to your server directory using software such as FileZilla, and then you're good to go. However, with Python, the process is a little bit different. You'll deploy your application from your terminal, from your command line, from your computer. So there are a series of commands that you will want to give to the terminal so that we have these files uploaded in Heroku. So yeah, I suppose now you have a running website. So your Flask website is running correctly on localhost, and you also have a virtual environment which we set up in the previous lecture. So let's start with step 1. Step 1 is you go and create an account in Heroku. So it should be somewhere in here. So you go to sign up and just create an account. So once you have that, then you can go ahead and log in. And yeah, dashboards should be your homepage once you log in. And under personal apps, which is this one here, you'll see your apps listed in there. Now, if you have just created an account, you'll not have anything, but I have this test 702 which I have created. And so the idea is that you first need to create an account in Heroku, and then you create apps. Now, to create an app where you'll store your Python files so that you can access the website from the web, you can either go here to the plus sign and then create new app, or you can do that from the command line. And that's what we're going to do. So we're going to be using the command line to do everything. Yeah, basically we're done with the web page of Heroku. So step 1 was to create an account. Step 2 is you need to download the Heroku tool belt. Heroku tool belt. So it's served by Heroku. This is a tool that allows you to communicate with the Heroku server through your command line. So yeah, basically we'll be sending commands to the Heroku server, and we need to download and install Heroku for that. So just go ahead and choose your Heroku for your operating system, and then just go ahead and install it. And once you have done that, you go ahead and go to the directory where your main file is, your Python file, and shift right click for Windows and open a command window here. So you can either do that with Terminal Plus inside Atom, but my Terminal Plus is not working at the moment, so I'm using the simple command line, which is the same thing. I mean, it's nice to have the terminal inside Atom here, but this is also the same thing. So I am in the demo folder, so demo, where my script 1.py file is. So what I'm going to do is point to Heroku and login. So you can do that after you have installed Heroku tool belt. So what I'm trying to do here is log in to Heroku so that I can send commands to the Heroku servers. And yeah, my email was arditsuche.com. So that should be the email that you use to create an account in Heroku, and then the password that you chose there, and execute. Oh, my login failed. I seem to have entered the wrong email, sorry about that. Login again, arditsuche Hotmail. Yeah, now it should be fine. Now I'm logged in successfully, so I can go ahead and send commands to Heroku. So yeah, at this point we have covered 3 steps. We created an account on Heroku, and we installed the Heroku tool belt, and we logged into Heroku. Now we need to create an app. To do that, you again need to point to the Heroku command and then create, and then give a name to your app. So let me try Ardit there. I say I'll try because sometimes an app name can be already occupied by someone else, because you know the name that you give to your app will be set as the domain of your web application. So it would be something like ardit.herokuapp.com. So let me try this. And yeah, that was successful. Obviously there are not many people named Ardit, so that was good. And yeah, if you want, I mean this is not a requirement, but if you want, you can list your apps using Heroku apps, just to see what apps you have. And yeah, I have now 2, Test 702 and Ardit. And yeah, great, now we have an app on Heroku. And if you want, you can go and access your app, actually visit your app, ardit.heroku.com. So heroku.com or herokuapp.com is the same thing. So basically what we have is just a default web page there that is waiting for some custom files to build the website. So in our case, we want to upload a Python application, and then we will have a website based on that. And yeah, this is how your app should look at this point. You know, this is different from, let's say, a random name that doesn't have an app. So this says no such app, but our app says welcome to your new app. So let's go ahead now and upload our files there. Now to upload files into Heroku, we should use Git. Now Git is a version control system, and it allows us to deploy an app to Heroku. And now you should have Git installed, but the good news is that Git is installed by default when you install the Heroku belt. So Heroku belt is based on Git, and it installs Git for you. But if for any reason you don't have Git, then you should be able to just search on Google for Git and just go ahead and install it. And once you have Git installed, then we go ahead and initialize a Git repository. But before we do that, actually, we need to have 3 files in our app directory. So I'm talking about this directory, which is where our main Python file is located. So script1.py file, because here is where we have the app instance. So we are creating this Flask object here. And yeah, in here, what you want to do is open a command line, or you can use this one, but I wouldn't interfere with that. So let me open a command line in there, and we need to create 3 files. The first file should be named requirements.txt. So we should create 3 files, and then we upload these files together with our Python file and the CSS and the HTML files to Heroku. And Heroku will recognize these files because we'll give them specific names. And so in these files we'll give some instructions. The first file is a file called requirements.txt, and what that contains is it should contain a list of dependencies that you want Heroku to install in your Python, in their Python installation. So we have Python and we have Flask installed in our virtual environment. So we should find a way to tell the Heroku servers that please install Flask for us. And that way is by creating this requirements.txt file. So I'll show you how to do that in a bit. Now we have Flask installed, and you can have a list of all packages and libraries and modules that you have installed in your Python installation with pip freeze. So that should list all the packages and libraries and everything. Be aware though that what I used is pip freeze, so I used the pip of my main Python installation. So we're working on a virtual environment, and what you want to do is you want to point to your virtual pip, so to say. Now my virtual pip is, somewhere here. So here is the demo folder where I'm currently demo. So you should be really careful with directories. Then back, so demo virtual scripts, and here is my pip. So just there. That means this is the current directory. So I need to go back one directory. With 2 dots you go back one directory and then point to virtual, and then script, and then pip, and then freeze to get a list of packages that you have with your virtual environment. And yeah, I have Flask and its dependencies. Now we need to insert these in a requirements.txt file. Before doing that, actually you need to install one more library that is called Gunicorn. Like that. Yeah, pip install Gunicorn. Let me expand this. Yeah, that's all I can do. Install. That was successful. So why do we need this library? Well, this is an HTTP server, so we need the server, actually, Heroku server needs this to run your web application. If you do pip freeze again, you'll see that Gunicorn is there, and you also see the versions on the right. So to throw this in a file, you can do something like that, and the name of the file, requirements.txt. Yeah, that should be okay. Great. This is a file, and yeah, we have all the dependencies there. Great, so that was the first file that I mentioned. We have 2 more files to go. The next file is a proc file, but be careful, you shouldn't have any extension in there. So that's a file without any extension, and just go ahead and edit it with whatever you want, or Notepad, or just here in Atom. So this should contain a line, and that would be web Gunicorn corn. So what you're doing is you're telling Heroku what to use, what server, what web server to use to run your application. So we're saying use Gunicorn, and then Gunicorn has to point to script 1, so that's the name of our file, and a colon there, and then app. So again, a proc file is in the same directory with our script1.py, and it should be there. Then what you do, then you point to the file name of your Python file name, and then app is the name of the variable that is holding the Flask instance. So app there. Yeah, I hope that is clear. That's all you have to do with proc file. Just save that and close the file. And yeah, one more file now. And that would be a runtime file. Runtime.txt. What that should contain inside is the Python version that you want Heroku to run your app with. You can make it without creating a runtime.txt file, but in that case, Heroku will run your application using Python 2.7. So that version. If you want to run your application, so if you want Heroku to run your application with Python 3.5, you'd say Python 3.5.1. So why did I insert this? Well, Heroku actually, they have these 2 available runtimes. No, so supported Python runtimes. You can either specify this, which happens to be the default one, so you can get away without specifying this. And then they have 3.5.1. If maybe you have 3.5.2 in your computer, but that doesn't make any difference. So if you have 3.5.2 or 0.3 or whatever, you still have to specify 3.5.1 in the runtime.txt file. And yeah, save that, and all we have to do with the files. Eventually we can go ahead and upload this file to Heroku, all these files that we have in this directory here. Great. To do that, you first need to create a Git repository. So you say git init for initialization, execute that, and as you see, you got a .git folder created in there. So that contains your local repository. So in other words, these files now are recognized by Git and they will be uploaded into Heroku. So this is how this looks like. And now we want to add these files to the Git repository. To do that, you say git add and a dot. So what the dot says is, you're adding the files of the current directory. So the dot points to the current directory. And yeah, that was successful. And then you want to commit the changes. So you added some files, and later we will see when we make changes in the website, in the web application. And whenever you make changes, you say git commit with the M flag, and then you have to write some nodes there. Let's say first commit. When you do the second commit, maybe you change something in your web application. Maybe you added another web page in your website, and you'd say something like web page added or something like that. So this says 8 files changed. So why 8 files? Well, we have 1, 2, 3, 4 files in here, and we have 3 here, so 7, and 1 here, main.css. So we have 8 files that were actually added to the local repository. The next step now is to push the changes to Heroku. So we want to push to upload the Git repository, the files, to Heroku. However, first you need to do something. We have 2 apps in our Heroku account, but we haven't told Heroku which app we are working on. So to do that, to point to one of your apps, you want to do Heroku git remote, and then the app flag, and after that goes the name of your app. So everything that you do now is applied to the app that you referenced in this command here. Now, to push the changes to Heroku, so to eventually upload the files, you do git push Heroku master. Now, if you're doing this for the first time, you may get an error from Git saying that Git wasn't able to recognize you. In that case, if you get an error from this after executing this line, you can go ahead and authenticate with Git. That's actually very easy, so nothing to worry about. You say git config and global with 2 dashes in front, and then user.email, and then in quotes you want to pass your email. You can use the email that you use for creating a Heroku account, so something like .com, and you execute that like that, and then you need to do one more thing. So again, git config, and then global user.name, so the username this time. Just pick a username that you want, just like that. And once you have done that, then go ahead and push the changes to Heroku. So that would be again git push Heroku master. So I'm providing all these commands in a separate file, so in a text file, and you can find this in the resources in this lecture. There you'll find the commands in the correct order as we are executing in this video. execute, and hopefully this will be successful. Python app detected. So yeah, something important is that you want to be in a directory where your Python file is located. So that's how Heroku will detect that you're running a Python file. If you're, for instance, if your directory, your current directory, here would be something like website my site. Here, so website my site and not demo. So if you would be somewhere here, Heroku wouldn't be able to push the changes. So, and yeah, this verifying deploy done. This was successful for me at least. And now you can go ahead and browse to your web page. So in my case, it'd be audit.herokuapp.com, or you can open the browser by doing Heroku open in the command line. And yeah, here we go. My app is live now, and it's a working app, so I can navigate through the website and so on. So yeah, that was about this lecture. And you know, Heroku info, you can get info about the current app. You know, you have things like the Git link in there, and the owner, and the URL of the application and so on. And that was about how to upload a Flask application into Heroku. This is a bit delicate work if you're a beginner. So if you were unable to do this, then you could download the text version of the commands and try to run them again one by one. And you can also ask questions and just tell me about the error you're getting, and I'll try to help you. And yeah, we still have one lecture to go. In the next lecture, what we'll do is I'll make a simple change to the website and see how we can upload the changes to Heroku. So we're talking about maintaining our website now, our web application. And yeah, let's move on, and I'll talk to you in the next lecture.